Hello and welcome to this edition of Soulful Scrutiny. With me in the studio today is Rosita Alvarez. Miss Alvarez is from the country of Belize and she is from an ethnic group known as Garifuna. I'm going to explain a little bit later on what being a Garifuna means. And let me make sure I get this correctly. She is the chairperson of the Garifuna Settlement Day Cultural Mass Committee of Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay? So we're here to kind of pick her brain and have kind of we're going to scrutinize you today, if you will. Now, just to give a little bit of background information, the Garifuna people are a hybrid people of African, Carib, and Iraq mixture. They were exiled from the country of St. Vincent in 1797. And miraculously, that culture survived in exile in Central America. Miss Alvarez, her contribution to making sure that this culture is sustained with its language, the music, the foods, even the clothing, has been through what is called the Garifuna Mass. Yearly, there's a big mass in Brooklyn. There are other mass, but this is like a big mass. And so we wanted to talk to her to really find out how is she able to do all of this. So welcome to Soulful Scrutiny.
Thank you.
Okay. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, I know I said a little bit, said a mouthful, but not really said that much. So tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Rosita Alvarez. I'm from Belize, basically from Danriga. I'm a Garifuna. I'm very interested in preserving the Garifuna culture. So that's what I do. Most of the time, I'm not by myself. But I'm the face that other people see. I have other people that works with me. Al Garino, I'm from Belize. I have those of you who were at the mass last year, you saw Miss Prudential Lambe, who was very instrumental in speaking both English and Garifuna at the mass. It was like the highlight. The people are still talking about it. You know, then we have another person, Irene Aranda, who's also a member of the group. It's not a very large group. We have Margaret Wiley, Lopez Wiley. We have Alice Castillo, who's also a member of the group. And we have many other people that are a part of it, you know, not full-time, but they contribute a lot. They won't be 100% committed like the names I just called, but they're there. Then I can't forget we have Louise Flores.
Just about to ask about her. Yes, she's been
Louise Flores. She's extremely committed to what we do, and Oveta Ramos. Those people all come together with myself to get the work done.
Okay, and let me kind of clear something else. Let me clear this up. When you say Garifuna, Garinagu, some people may be confused. Garifuna is singular. Garinagu is
Plural.
Plural. Like
Yes.
It's like saying Garifuna people.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people, you hear that a lot, Garifuna people. But if I'm talking, I'm being a Garifuna. If I talk about all my people, I'll say Garinagu.
Garinagu. Right.
That's me, I'm including everybody.
Everybody, right. Okay. So let's get into the mass, because this mass is being held at a Catholic church.
Yes.
Because the Garifuna people, or Garinagu, are almost, not 100%, but close to it, Catholic.
In the beginning, they were 100% Catholic.
Okay. I have to ask you about that because I don't get that.
100% Catholic, yes. Where I'm from, in Belize, in the country of Belize, in the 1960s, 50s, 60s, the Garifuna people were 100% Catholic. As a matter of fact, this Garifuna Settlement Day Mass was never in a Catholic church. So some people are amazed when they know the history of the Mass.
Tell us
It
this.
was held in a Methodist church because Thomas Vincent Ramos was Methodist.
Oh.
The church exactly in front of his home in Dangriga on Commerce Street.
Oh, okay.
So the Mass was originally held in the Methodist church.
Okay.
Later on, as a matter of fact, it was after his death in 1955. That's November 13, 1955, that the Mass was moved to a Catholic church because Garifuna people are Catholics. So they moved the mass to the Catholic church, and it remained there up to now.
Up to this day.
Yes.
Now, the mass I just mentioned, it is in a it's being held in a Catholic church, but
yes.
and you just give us a good piece of history because I didn't know that. Thomas Vincent Ramos was a Garifuna person who I understand was instrumental in getting a holiday.
Yes.
Garifuna Settlement Day. And that day is supposed to be the day that the Garifuna came to Belize, correct?
Yes. He
from Honduras.
From Honduras.
Because they back up a little bit, they were exiled from St. Vincent to Rotan.
To Rotan, which was in the Bay Island
and was under
and
British
was
control.
owned by the British, yes.
And then they were moved to inland Honduras.
They moved to inland Honduras.
Right.
Because Rotan wasn't like feasible for them.
Right.
Because of their lifestyle. So they keep moving, so they moved to mainland Honduras.
And then spread out to places like
Belize until they get to Belize.
Guatemala, Nicaragua.
Yes.
All right. So Thomas Vincent Ramos wanted this to be a holiday to celebrate their arrival in Belize.
Now, knowing that he was born in Honduras.
Right.
As a matter of fact,
his birthday was born in Honduras.
Okay. Trujillo. His birthday is next week, Saturday.
Okay.
September 17, 1887.
Oh, okay.
His birthday. His parents migrated to Belize. Now, in Belize, the Garifuna people were more free. So he was able to get a very good education. And, well, he's an activist, so he decided to lobby the British Crown to honor the Garifuna people for their arrival and their contribution to Belize. There comes Garifuna Settlement Day.
Oh, okay. So that's the origin of Garifuna Settlement Day. You might want to explain to me. I don't know if you would even have the answer, but you might want to explain why were Garifuna people running from Spanish territory to British territory? It seemed to me that they would have wanted to stay clear from anything British, since the British is who exiled them to Central America. Why run from Spanish territory? Something must have been going on.
Yes.
What was it?
There was a war. There was a war going on. And a lot of the Garifuna people were being slaughtered, actually. Slaughtered. So they decided to keep moving. Now they were looking for a place, because they were driven from their homeland. So they were still looking for a place. Now while looking for this place, they landed, in Rotan, crossed over to the mainland Honduras. Then the mainland Honduras, there was war. It wasn't a war about the Garifuna people, but it was a Spanish war. And the Garifuna people were pulled into this war. As a matter of fact...
How so?
Well, because they lived there, and probably because of where they lived, since they were living in Honduras, then they eventually became a part, But it wasn't all Garifuna people who wanted to be a part. And a lot of Garifuna people were killed around that time. It's war.
Right.
So they decided to move, and some of them moved to Nicaragua. They didn't really stay there, a handful. Then they moved across to Guatemala, which is basically La Buga. That's where they actually went.
Right.
In Guatemala, but in La Buga, a few in Barrios. And they keep on moving until they get to Belize, which is now Belize City.
So Belize City
which is now Belize City.
Wow.
Which we still have up to today's day, Yabra.
What is
the
Yabra?
word? I'm here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where we're going to be.
I know a tiny bit of Garifuna, but
but they never stayed there either. They keep on moving because the water was no good. And
they used to that fresh coastal water.
Exactly.
Okay, before we took the break, we were talking about the fact that you gave me an education that the Garifuna people, when they came from Honduras to Belize, they actually settled in Belize City, which is not really Garifuna territory today.
Right.
So they settled there, and then I guess it started spreading out?
They did. They moved away. The water wasn't that fresh. And not only that, the British were a little bit afraid of them due to the war in St. Vincent. And here they are coming, and the British knew what the Garifuna people are capable of. So that's where the 6th 36
Capable,
miles.
let's make it clear. Capable meaning we stand
Of
up
taking
strong.
over.
We are not going to.
Right, we're not going to.
We have freedom in our base, so
Exactly.
we're not about to be enslaved. Or to
Enslaved.
be, yeah.
And
So-
at that time, there was mahogany going on in, the cutting of mahogany. So the British knew that the Garifuna people were not going to be enslaved. So that's when they gave them a limitation. That's 36 miles. They weren't allowed to be 36 miles from the British. But the water was no good. Belize City water is no good. So they just keep on moving, looking for fresh water, and they landed in Stan Creek, which is now Dangria.
Okay.
And then they keep going until
And it's interesting because they still live along the shores. When I go to Central
Along the
America,
shores.
I've been to Honduras, I've been to Belize a couple of times, and they live along the shores just like we do in St. Vincent. Because in St. Vincent, we're also coastal. We live along the shores. You have some villages interior, but in the deep interior, but we live along the shores.
Okay.
So that's thanks that's a really great education. I learned some things today. Now I asked another question. Why are they so strong in their Catholic faith? Let me say this. I've often said, I'm a Christian, that it boggles even my mind why black people, period, hold to Christianity of all religion.
Yeah.
But we are.
Yeah.
Now, the Garifuna people, my understanding is they were prosecuted by the Catholic Church for their beliefs.
Yes.
They were seen as, what they're doing is witchcraft and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So why did they hold to that religion so strongly? I would expect them to not be Catholic.
Right. But the Garifuna people believe in God. The Garifuna people have a very strong faith in God because it was God that kept them alive up to now.
Right, but why Catholic?
Well, in the country of Belize, it was only the Catholic Church. And the Garifuna people have to go to church. That's their belief. Even though we have our own religion.
But you know what I thought of too? The fact when they came from St. Vincent, they had alliances with the French, who, that probably carried over from their Catholic connection. So that might have contributed to that. It's what they were more comfortable with, probably.
With the Catholic Church.
So this culture is an amazing culture by any stretch of the imagination, by any standard. It's an amazing culture.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I could say that.
It is.
But why is it so important to keep this culture alive?
Well, first and foremost, the Garifuna culture is unique. It's a very unique culture.
How so?
Most of what we do is based off, it's a mixture, it's based off the African and the Caribs and the Arawaks, the Indians, those were Indians.
Right.
It comes together. Our religion is basically African. When we do our ceremony, it's basically African. And we don't let it go.
So even though you're part of the Catholic Church,
but we keep ours.
you keep your own. So this is where this mass come in because hey, I'm Catholic, but I want to make sure Garifuna is represented in this religion.
Yes,
Right.
it got to be represented. We couldn't take no for an answer. You're going to accept us, but you're going to accept us as we come.
You're right.
As we are.
Hence the reason it survived.
Yes.
Okay, because you're
This
not.
is us.
Yeah, you will not conform to
No.
just people's idea of
Oh,
Christianity.
no.
We're Christians, but we have our own.
We have our own
stamp,
Yes.
own shade of Christianity.
Exactly.
We have our own customs,
Exactly. Which is basically the same. It's just that we may do it in our Dabuera.
Right.
We have our own temple that we perform.
So
our
you're
service.
going to have their own temple in addition
Yes.
to being Catholic. They have their own
The
temple.
temple, yes. And it's basically the same thing. What the Catholic Church does is what we do in our temple. There may be certain things that we don't take into the Catholic Church,
Right.
but most of what we do, that's what the priest does.
It's pretty much the same.
Yes.
Later on, we're going to be showing. Well, actually, let me say this. The reason that we're doing this interview is that I was at the Mass last year. I've been for the last 5-6 years.
Right.
And I'm always just amazed. I don't care how many times I go. It just sends I get goosebumps, just looking at it. And I wanted to put it on the network. And I thought, you know what, I can't do this justice without interviewing the lady who's responsible for this wonderful mass and the celebration. So I said, let me bring her into the studio, do an interview, and then when we do the mass, people could really see what we're talking about, what all this conversation is about. It will make more sense to them.
Yes,
okay?
Exactly.
Because the first time that I went to this mass, it was around, I think, 2010. And I went there with Felix Miranda, who's a girlfriend from Belize, a friend of mine, and he was getting ready to retire. And he wanted to connect me because I had just written my first book, Beneath the Golden Mango Tree. And he said, Trish, I'm leaving, I'm going to retire, but I want to connect you with as many Garifuna people in the New York area. Yes. He took me to the Bronx, I met with Mota Cologne, who is head of Casa Yume, and he took me to the mass and he introduced me to you guys and he said, keep in touch with everybody. Yes. And I was sitting there, my whole body was just chills. Because I had never seen anything like this. There were the drumming, there was a drumming, with the Garifuna drums. And Garifuna drums are different than African drums. Yes. I just want
to say. It has a similarity.
There's a similarity.
Yeah, but...
If you have the segunda
if you have a good drummer, if you have a good drummer, it shakes everybody in the church.
Yeah.
So
that's the point. I know it's just a Catholic church and they have drums and they're beating the drums going on. And I remember the first time I saw it, there was a guy and he would beckon the crowd forward and then he would motion them back. And then there was that day they blessed some babies and they would lift the babies up and there was the flag procession, there was waving of the green leaves, and we talk a little bit about that. Yes, and it was just amazing. Now sometimes it deviates slightly, like maybe one year there may not be babies. Right. I don't remember if I saw branches last year. No, we did not. Right. But most years they have the branches, and when they're babies to be blessed, they have the babies. And I was just, and what was amazing to me was not just, it was in a Catholic church, but being from St. Vincent and looking at these folks in their colorful clothing and understanding that they are a part of us, that they came from St. Vincent. These are our people. And there was this rich religion and this rich culture that I grew up in, and I never even knew anything about it. There could never be anything good about a group of people being picked up and taken to a place they don't know and exiled. But maybe God in his wisdom knew that if they had stayed in St. Vincent, Urume, the Garifuna name for St. Vincent is Urume, that we would have lost everything. Yes. Because what started happening when the British exiled some of our brothers and sisters that we descended from, they started threatening the ones remaining, which have been my ancestors and most of the people in St. Vincent's ancestors, that if they spoke the language, they would shoot them. They give orders, shoot to kill anybody who spoke that language, because that language,
which they don't understand,
was what the Garifuna used. This small group of African people used it for years to stay ahead of them. Yes. And the Garifuna left St. Vincent speaking 3 languages: English, French, and Garifuna. They would learn the European languages.
But the Garifuna people are still that way. Yes. They are trilingual. Most Garifuna people speak more than one language.
They're good at languages. Yeah. I understand they even used to use them to go into certain areas to teach. The Mayan people and different people.
Because in Belize, the education of Belizeans was on the backs of the Garifuna people. The Garifuna people were the teachers. The Garifuna people were the nurses. The Garifuna people were the tailors. So and like I said, we were also big in the church. We have deacons. Therefore, in the beginning, Belize high literacy was on
the backs of the
Garifuna people. Yes.
Welcome back to Soulful Scrutiny. We are going to continue our conversation with Rosita Alvarez of the Garifuna Settlement Day Cultural Mass Committee. And, I wanted to ask you a question because I was talking before the break about how amazed I was when I saw this mask. And it takes a lot, I would imagine, to put something like this on. It looks, it's pretty, impressive and pretty complex. So how were you able to do that? Because this has been in existence for how many years?
Well, it started in Belize. Then,
but here in the United States, this particular mask,
I believe in the 70s. That's when it started.
So do you guys get grants to do this? Do you get sponsors? Do you fundraise? A combination? How are you able to keep something like this? Because that's a lot of people that I see at the mask. Yeah.
It's basically a combination of fundraisers and sponsors. We do have a few sponsors, not corporate sponsors. It's the sponsors are basically from among ourselves, the Grafana people, and friends of Grafana people. You are one of my sponsors every year.
And she's not leaving until she gets that check, okay? So
religiously. Christine Vernon is one of the sponsors, religiously.
Yeah.
So we do have a lot of sponsors that help us. Because, when we have this mass, we always tell people, come on now, come on, and come to the service, enjoy the service, participate in the service.
Right.
However, there's expenses. Because every year we bring Father Larry Nicasio from Belize.
Okay.
We don't have many.
And he's a Garifuna.
He's a Garifuna
a priest who's a Garifuna, right?
Yes, from Belize. Father Nicasio and I goes way, way back. We were neighbors. We went to school together.
Okay.
Graduated together.
Oh, wow.
So we are from way back.
Way back. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He was all in our class, but then I were all.
And he's been religious at doing this mass.
His uncle.
Because I don't think I've ever gone there and he's not there except maybe once.
His uncle is was the bishop of Belize.
Oh.
Bishop Marco.
It's in his blood.
Yes, it's in his blood.
Okay.
Yeah. So we bring him every year, and thanks to Father Larry, he comes. If I don't call him in time, he calls me and says, when is the mass?
Wonderful dedication, right?
So that's where the expenses is, because for him to travel to the United States, boarding and lodging and everything, it's costly. So we do these fundraisers. We cook Grafana food. Many people don't cook Grafana food in their home anymore. Some of them say because it's too tedious to do, or it's too hot. So we cook Grafana food, and they come in and they buy, and we raise the money to bring him. For example, October 1st, we're having a large fundraiser. That's a big one, the all-white fundraiser, at 131 Arlington in Brooklyn. And that also is to raise funds to bring in Father Larry.
Okay. I'll definitely be there.
Then the mass, you were talking about all these people. Now that's a potluck. The word goes out. The mass is going to be, for example, they say it's going to be on the 13th, November 13th, which is Sunday. A very important day for the Grafana people also. And you bring, whatever you bring comes together.
Okay.
And we share.
Now, this one mainly represents the Belize Garifuna arrival, or the Garifuna arrival into Belize. But this other Garifuna from other areas in Central America come to your mass, like from Honduras, where most of them live in the Bronx, or Guatemala.
Yes, we have, and it's becoming a tradition for them to come in from Honduras. We have a bus that comes from the Bronx to Brooklyn every year. Then we have the people from La Buga that comes in. And last year we have a few people from Nicaragua that are coming in. So they are coming.
So Nicaragua is more of a smaller pocket, because I haven't met
it's only Bluefield.
Really people from Nicaragua. My brother lives in Toronto, Canada, and has a restaurant there, and he met a girlfriend from Nicaragua who is just dying to meet me. So my brother told him what I've been doing, and for those of you who don't know, I'm known as Trish St. Hill, who is a writer, and my books, my novels are usually Garifuna-centric. The last novel I did, which is Tears of Exile, chronicles Garifuna's existence on St. Vincent, their subsequent exile, and the problems that they encountered, and basically kind of show our side of the story in terms of how we all were as one people and what happened to make us this kind of fragmented society where we in St. Vincent really are just learning again
Yes.
about our culture. And what I do there is not a sustaining the culture, it's a retrieval of the culture, and hopefully people sustain it. Because we lost a lot of it. We maintain a lot of the foods, but the language, we speak no language.
Customs,
because of the effort of the Retriever program that James Lobel, Eleanor Bullock, Christine Bonan, Georgette Lampe, and Erica Zuniga, because of people like that who have been going back with me and assisting. I did the organizing part, but these guys, I really got to take my hat off to them. They really did the actual work of teaching the culture to the children there to try to get it back. And when I go, we make Garifuna foods, right? Like hudud. And I have my Hannah, and I teach the children how to do it that way. And people say, oh, Trish, just get a food processor. And I said, no. They can do it at a food processor later on, but I want them, because they don't have the luxury of doing it in a genuine or authentic way that you guys were doing it.
Right.
So I want these children to get a sense how it was done in the old days. Remember, we have pieces here that we're missing.
Right.
So let me show you how it was done.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can go to your food
Okay.
processor later on and do it.
Okay.
So that's I'm doing that with the mainly Belizeans who have been supporting this, and I understand these children from Nicaragua, some of them are being sent into villages in Honduras for 6 months to learn the language and the culture there, and to Belize as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think there's really a grand effort. I think that answers the question:
There is.
how is this thing able to survive?
Yeah, and it will survive. Yeah.
It has really survived for 219 years, and that is miraculous. All right, I have a big question for you.
Uh-huh.
In your efforts at sustaining this culture, what brings you the most joy? Now I'm going to ask the converse of that, which is what are some of the biggest challenges? Okay. So let's start with the joy.
Okay, my biggest joy is when we gather as Garinago and we are able to speak our language. That's my biggest joy. That we are able to converse with one another. Authentic Garifuna.
Okay.
That's my biggest joy. Because that's the goal. To keep our language alive. You asked for the biggest the biggest drawback or the biggest
the challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing as you try to sustain this culture?
That we have right now is to find a building whereby we could really teach the world about who and what the Garifuna people are. Because it is out there, but everybody put pieces of what they want out there. And it's time for us to go out there and give them the real history and the real knowledge of who Garifuna people are. Garifuna people speak Garifuna. Now we speak other language. But Garifuna is the basic. So if we could get a building, and I've been advocating for this building, whereby we can have our doors open to anyone, not only to the Garifuna people, anyone. If you are interested and you're willing to come in, the door is open for you to come in. Now that's the biggest challenge, because to acquire this building, we need everybody to come on board. Everyone. No matter how small your contribution, we need you.
So it has to be a collaborative effort.
Yes.
And everybody just basically putting in what they can to make this a reality.
Yes.
Most people refer to you as the mover and the shaker behind anything Garifuna in Brooklyn. And I agree with that. Because there's nothing Garifuna happening. I remember sometime our consul general, he wants to come to an event, Garifuna, and he will call me. Trish, I was supposed to go to something in Brooklyn, such and such and such, and I can't remember the dates. I'm saying, you think I know? I don't know, but I'll call you. As a sister, what, and you always have the answer because I don't think anything happens there without your involvement. And, you know, as someone who is very late in coming to my awareness of this culture, I have to say that I am very, very thankful to you and every girlfriend in Central America who has, you know, made this tremendous sacrifice and great effort to keep this culture alive so that we from St. Vincent and the Grenadines can have a chance. How many countries do you know that have a language and a culture that was maintained in exile and can 219 years later go back to teach it to the ancestral homeland? We are American people, you know, but I particularly want to say that the girlfriend in Central America are an amazing group of people. And
yes,
I don't even know if they realize how strong they are.
Many a times they don't. Many
I don't
times
think
they
they
don't,
realize
but they
it.
are.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
Extremely strong people. And, you know, we want to look at this culture in a really holistic manner on QXTV. We want to be able to give shows on the Garifuna people. We want to show what we're doing in St. Vincent. We're welcoming footage from places like Honduras, Guatemala, wherever you are. If you're a Garifuna person, you have footage that you want to share with us to show your contribution to keeping this culture alive. We will really much appreciate it because we're very much appreciated because, you know, we believe that it is that kind of collaborative effort that will keep this culture going and allow us to ensure that it never dies. My children do not speak Garifuna fluently, but they know the basic, you know. They know the basic. If I say Buiti Binafi, I mean, at work, you know, you would laugh if you were there because the few little Garifuna words I know, I show off about it, you know. When I walk in the room in the morning, I would say, Buiti Binafi, and some of them know who knew what it is.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, you know what? You're being selfish, so you have to say, Buiti Binafi, Buenos Dias, good morning. So you're covering everybody's base. But everybody know when I come in the morning, Buiti Binafi, you know, and I'm always trying to, I'm so overwhelmed with other stuff going on that I can't take the time, but I used to go to Casa Room and sit in classes there. I would ask James Lavelle, Christine Vaughn, and I know she's that person that I go to. How do you say, you know, delicious? And she says, you could say cement, you know. And I learned some words that are not so nice too, which I can't say at the end. But I have fun with my Garifuna knowledge, a little bit of knowledge that I have. And so I'm looking forward to go to the Mass. So let's tell the audience when is this Mass? It's November?
This year, the Mass is Sunday, November 13. It's at 680 Madagascar Boulevard in Brooklyn at the corner of Livonia. The Mass begins at 2 o'clock.
And the church is?
Our Lady of Mercy Church.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately following the Mass, there is a free reception. So we invite everyone to come in. Mm-hmm. Everyone. We also ask that we're having a fundraiser on October 1 at 131 Arlington. That begins at 9 p.m. And we're asking those who can make it to come and support us because those are the funds that we need to pay for the expenses of the Mass. Mm-hmm. It's an all-white affair.
Okay. I would definitely be there. I'm in absolute awe of you. Whenever I am around you, wherever I see you, I'm absolutely in awe of you. What have you done to preserve yourself? Because we can't have someone like you passing on, and we all will eventually one day, and not having you preserve yourself. Because this language and this culture, not just a language, a culture, has been kept alive because of people like you. And they said the best way to preserve yourself is to teach others about what you're doing or to show some other people. So have you taken steps to preserve yourself?
Oh yes, I have my eldest granddaughter. Mm-hmm. She's in college. my future doctor.
All right.
She's attending Old Dominion in Virginia.
Mm.
She's speaking Gerfina now. You know, I always talk to her in Gerfina. She'd call me and I talk to her in Gerfina. And now she can respond back in Gerfina. My children, they all talk Gerfina.
Mm-hmm.
I try on my job. I speak Gerfina on my job. Everybody on my job knows that I'm a Gerfina.
Mm-hmm.
As I speak to them, I even speak to them in Gerfina, and I would take back and say, "Oh Lord."
You slip into your comfort zone.
But they know. Then they said, "No, go on. That's okay. We know who you are. It's okay." I try my best to, especially with the youth, to let them know that instead of adopting other cultures, they should adopt theirs, because our Gerfina culture is rich. Mm-hmm. Our Gerfina culture has everything. We don't need to adopt anybody else's culture. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big advocate of that, talking to the youths, asking them to learn Gerfina. Mm-hmm. That is the reason why I need a building. Mm-hmm. Yes. Because to get the young people in, we can teach them Gerfina through music. Mm-hmm. Everybody sings Gerfina music.
Right.
Now that's the basis.
Beautiful.
That's the basis.
Gosh, yes.
So we can get them to speak Gerfina, have a conversation in Gerfina, just through the music. Mm-hmm. You know? So
I know my children, my son and my grandson, they go with me to the Cultural Retrieval Program every year for the last 5 years in St. Vincent. And in 2000, I think it was 2014, I was heading into St. Vincent. And we often stay in Barbados because we don't have an international airport. So we have to stay in Barbados and wait to get a connecting small plane over to St. Vincent. And I just became, I can't even explain it, I just became emotional to the point where I said to the boys, I said, come here. And they said, one of these days, I will be but a memory. And they thought something was wrong with me. And I said, no, I'm not planning to go any place soon. I said, but I will be a memory one day. And what I'm doing here, I just beg that you kids will not let it die. Mm-hmm. Find a way to keep it alive, to continue to contribute towards it, and don't let it be in vain. I don't want anything from anybody in St. Vincent for what I'm doing there. I just want to say that I tried to make a difference, to bring this culture to them by way of our brothers and sisters who have it, who have personal knowledge of it, and who was able to share that and help in this retrieval effort. And one day my son said to me, he said, Mommy, I promise you, I wouldn't let it die. I wouldn't. Somewhere, somehow, I wouldn't let it die. You know, Christine Barnum goes with me to St. Vincent. And I understand her mother was very big in the Gerfina movement, and she never told me. She's very discreet. But you told me, I was shocked.
Yes.
But there she was. Mom probably surprised because they said she was always quiet and in the back. But here she is doing her version of cultural, sustaining the culture.
Again, I was asked one time during an interview if I believe the Gerfina culture or existence will just be no more. I said no. There'll always be the Gerfina culture, and there always will be Gerino, because every time something happens that one person passes on, somebody
pops up.
Because I remember the time when I met you, we were having a lot of difficulties because there were some people they didn't want to be involved anymore. And I took it on myself, and I chose those who I wanted to work with me. Some people may think it's selfish, but it wasn't, because I needed it to live, to survive. Right. And there you come. Yeah. That day Felix called me and he told me, I met this young lady, so I'm going to bring her to you. And he did. He brought you, and look at what you've done. See,
I think it's nothing compared to what you guys are doing.
So
I'm good at organizing, and I'll say this, I don't take credit for the actual teaching of the language, because I barely do it myself. My thing is organizing and fundraising and getting it there, getting the people, pulling people together. That's what I'm
but
good at.
that helps because now it's in St. Vincent. Now
Oh,
the
it's alive.
children.
Let me tell you, they are serious
Right.
children in St. Vincent
The
about their
children.
Garifuna. They are teaching it to each other. When we show up each
Exactly.
year, we get another busload of children who other children taught.
That's what I'm saying.
They're sitting and
Garifuna will
speaking. They're
always
sitting and
be.
speaking
Yes.
among each other now with Garifuna because Christine has been there teaching them. You know what I found out? That one of the chiefs that was instrumental in fighting the British with Joseph Chatelier was a Charles, which is my last name.
Okay.
It is believed that many of the people that you see, like yourself and others, they descended somewhere from Chatelier's line. Joseph Chatelier is the paramount chief of the Garifuna people and is the only national hero in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is the Garifuna name for St. Vincent and the Grenadines is Urume. Joseph Chatelier was the person who brought the Garifuna people together, kept them strong, taught them strategies to fight the British. And he had a daughter named Gulisi. And there's now a Garifuna school in Dalriga named Gulisi. A good friend of mine, Mrs. Phyllis Cayetano, she runs that. She is head of that school.
Exactly.
And his daughter made it over into Belize. And it is believed that a lot of you guys that are so strong with this culture are descended from her.
Of her.
Yeah. And I do believe that. I do think that most of the people that you see fighting, they have that fighter spirit in them. And you have a group of ladies. You talk about Alice and Louise and Irene. These ladies are serious. I mean, when I've ever needed you guys, like for instance, I remember when the Consul General from St. Vincent came, and when the ambassador to the United Nations came, I organized a dinner. And I just had to tell you guys, and you were there with all the food. I didn't have to do a thing. Just all the food was there. It was served very nicely. And, you've always been somebody who's been supporting us. Giving us flags, giving us books to take to the children, giving us t-shirts, whatever we need, attending our fundraisers when we're trying to raise money. And I think what I could leave the audience with, we're going to see later on different pieces of the Garifuna Mass so people can see what we're talking about and why we think it's so amazing. But I think what I want people to get from being Garifuna is, this is my take on this. The Garifuna is that missing link between formerly enslaved Africans, the Africans, Native Africans, because this is a group of people that would show you how strong, how determined Africans would have been if they came to these parts and were not enslaved. So they are that missing link between Africans who were never enslaved, those who were, and this here in the middle, the Garifuna, is what Africans would have looked like in these parts. So I think I want people to understand that you don't have to have big corporate sponsors.
No.
You don't have to have everybody coming on board before you do something. Just whatever determination. When I went to St. Vincent with the Cultural Retrieval Program, I knocked on every door. Every relative that I have who has some money, and if they say no, I make them feel guilty. That's my family. I can do that, okay? I need some money. How much can you give me? Maybe 1,000. No, I think you could do better. They know me. I'm pretty bold because they're my relatives. I can do that, right?
Exactly.
And I do whatever is necessary. And so sometimes, Christine Bonham, one of the things she said to me, she said, you make it hard for people to say no because you give of yourself so much to it. Like, I am not going to ask you to give me support if I'm not willing to go out there and do whatever it takes.
Exactly.
This year, we were not able to get the Cultural Retrieval Program into St. Vincent because I had some personal things with my property. There was a fire, and trying to get back in and so forth, that kind of put me, in a kind of quandary there. But I promised to be back in 2017 to continue this effort because I think it is something that our ancestors never meant to die. And so I'm going to be there next year for the children. Now, Ms. Alvarez, as we get ready to end this program, what is it that you want the audience to know about you, about the Garifuna culture, about what you think is needed to continue sustaining this culture? What is it that you want the audience to know? I want you to talk to the camera.
I'm calling on all my Garifuna people to come out, just come out and support whatever the Garifuna people are doing. It's time for us to pick up the burden and bring our children, those of us who have children, so that they can experience the Garifuna culture, so that they can see and they can listen, they can learn and speak our language, which is very important. To me, it's very important that we learn our language and that we not only learn but to speak our language. And that when we go out into the world and we are asked who are Garifuna or what is Garifuna, we are able to explain, to let them know who we are, honestly, who we are and where we come from and what we do. Mm-hmm. So our main goal is to keep our culture alive, and to keep it alive, we need to learn our language.
Mm-hmm. I think that language, everything hinges on,
yes.
Everything hinges on culture, and that language is an instrumental part of the Garifuna culture. All right, well, listen, I want to thank you for taking this time.
You're welcome.
To come into the studio and sit with me and let us scrutinize you, if you will. And I just want to say I agree with everything you just said, that we do need to keep this culture going. We cannot have something survive this long under those circumstances and then let it die. So I can't speak for anyone else, but I know for me, I would forever do what little I can to keep it alive. And we look forward to bringing you different pieces from the Garifuna culture. And we thank you for watching Soulful Scrutiny. And until next time.